Hi people, my name is Jeff2146 and today we are going to be looking at a multiplayer battle between me and Izzy, the creator of the Fall of the Samurai, the Carlist Wars, Unequal Treaties, and Scramble for the East mods. Today we will be looking at the last test battle before the release of the Beta 6 of the Scramble for the East mod. Today we are going to be watching a battle between Belgium, played by me, and all the way over here, Saxony, played by Izzy. Both new factions in Beta 6 of the mod. So without any further ado, let's go into this. My army mainly consists out of regular foot infantry, supported by 2 units of skirmishers, here the chasseurs à pied, and supported by a relatively nice cavalry contingent of 4 units of cuirassiers. For lead infantry, we bring out 2 units of grenadiers. And lest we forget, we also bring a ranged component, mainly consisting out of these 12-pounder field cannons, which, in my opinion, did not contribute as much to the battle as I would have hoped they did. Then we go and look over on Izzy's side, who is bringing a saber cavalry and lancer on his right flank, unit of 10-pounder field howitzers, and then his main line is consistent out of the Saxon infantry. He did move up one of his units of lancers all the way to the mountain here. And his main units, these Royal Guard, are going to be kept into reserve until the end of the battle. So going into this battle, the first thing I wanted to do is get myself onto these 2 hills, which is why I moved over most of my cavalry to the farthest ones, as they would get there sooner, and I am moving my 2 units of grenadiers up to the left hill, supported by 1 unit of cav. My main force will set itself up around this hill here, giving my cannons a nice line of sight. My original plan was to move my skirmishers up on this mountain and harass his forces, but Izzy will react to this by pushing up the mountain with his regular infantry, outnumbering my skirmishers and forcing me back in just a bit. And there my cannons do start to open fire on his 10-pounder field howitzers. It's a lot of fire, all of it missed. And here you see my skirmishers moving up, while he is pushing up 3 units of infantry to contest me on this hill. Over here I am trying to deploy my grenadiers in such a way that they can put down stakes on this side of the mountain, just to prevent Izzy from pushing up with those 2 units of cavalry we saw before. See, I'm trying to put down stakes, but my grenadiers are being targeted by his 10-pounder howitzers. And here he has started pushing up his infantry up onto the right hill, getting me to pull my skirmishers back in just a bit once he here starts pushing up. The main thing about the Belgian infantry, and just the Belgian faction in general, is that they have one of the best equipment. Well, they have some of the best equipment available in the mod, as all of their troops are equipped with rifled muskets, same as the French and British. While Saxony still has smoothbore muskets on their infantry. There is a forum post about this that I will link in the description below that explains this more in detail. But the main thing is that in a straight shooting match, I am going to win. Now, you see here that I am now going to start targeting these infantry on the hill, as they pretty much lock down this entire area and prevent me from moving through it without taking substantial casualties. So at this point I spot these 3 units of Saxon infantry making their way to this hill, forcing me to pull my grenadiers back together and try and put them in a hiding spot, but I think his cannons can still target me. But the main thing is that it's going to be these 2 elite units facing off against 3 units of his line infantry. Meanwhile, he has pushed more units of infantry up to this hill to contest me on it. In response, I am moving over 2 units of foot infantry and moving my cavalry a bit back so they are outside of the danger zone. And here the first shots are fired from my infantry at his infantry over here on the hill. No, these infantry over here on the hill. While here my units do not have the elevation angles to properly engage his foot infantry, getting me to pull these units back in just a bit. But this is going to be the main interesting part of the fight for now, practically granting me this hill as he moves over his 3 units of foot infantry into my grenadiers. Like again, here he has pushed up his infantry in a position where they can shoot me, but the terrain angles do not allow me to shoot him back. So I am falling back with my infantry to here and my skirmishers to here, and then also putting them in skirmish mode. Meanwhile, I was able to get a nice volley into the flank of his unit with my cannon, killing a couple of men. Not much, but it's a few. And now he puts stakes onto this hill, practically denying my cavalry I have in reserve here from pushing up and getting to his cannon. And now the battle starts over here, with me pushing up my grenadiers. And really putting the hurt on this unit of infantry that is going to be facing them alone for a bit, because these 2 units have not arrived because all these 3 units are not arriving at the same time. Back over here, my skirmishers and my infantry are now being able to give some punishment upon these infantry that are putting the stakes down, as they cannot retaliate while they're doing so. Meanwhile, Izzy has moved up these 2 units of infantry more along here, and he has kept this unit of infantry in reserve to keep this area locked down. Back over here, it is 3 units of his infantry now, well, 2.5 units of his infantry against my 2 units of grenadiers, whom are now going to be starting to actually take their first return to fire, as this unit has not been able to fire at them all this time due to movement orders and terrain angles, which is something that is going to be fixed in a patch for the mod soon. And here Izzy decides to move his infantry even closer, having this unit be completely decimated. It is now a 2-on-2 with my elite infantry against his regulars, which my elite should be able to handily win. But then I spot this saber cavalry unit. And I send in my cuirassiers I have held in reserve to stop them from outflanking me. All the while here you can just see the amount of bodies and just the amount of troops that Izzy had lost trying to get these stakes down. Meanwhile, we have begun exchanging fire between the cliffside and my line, which these skirmishers are really doing a good job of getting going and depleting his units. Meanwhile, my cannons, still not really being that useful, are starting to now target his 10-pounders. Again, hoping to get them gone. And here Izzy does decide to charge in his infantry, but of course with his now 1 unit against 2, I am very easily able to just turn 1 to fire into his unit trying to stop me. And here we have his saber cavalry going up against my cuirassier elite cav. And it is only going to be a real matter of time before these cuirassiers lose, and that's when he moves over his unit of lancers, which I am going to answer by sending over all these 3 units of cav, because they're now useless on this flank, to my left side to get this under control. And we see that he does not in fact decide to go after my cavalry over here. He has decided to go after my grenadiers, who are just in time forming square, which has a devastating effect upon his charge. Meanwhile, his regular infantry is still pinning down my grenadiers. And here he decided to pull all of his chances into defeating this 1 unit of grenadiers, which I can respond to just forming a line with this unit again and firing into his back. Meanwhile, I have defeated his cavalry over here. On this flank, the gunfight is still going on, and I'm going to be moving up my infantry a bit more so they can get a clearer shot onto these 3 units of line infantry, while these 2, well, this 1 man over here standing amidst a pile of bodies, still trying to return fire, still gets a shot off. It's commendable. Not getting shot all the time, but these 2 units have practically been neutralized. And Izzy has moved up this unit to here to support the fight. Now on this flank, I have won myself the infantry and cav engagement, now allowing me to move my units and threaten his artillery, which has lost, where is it? No, not lost a single cannon yet. First I just tried to move my infantry back here, but then, like, just seeing the state of what's on the cliff here, I do decide to start pushing up on the center and the left flank, while the right flank is still practically a nice gun engagement that I should eventually win. It's the end with the difference between weapon quality. And if you're looking at them all now and going, well, these are only 900 gold and these are only 900 gold, then don't worry, the price on these will be increased. So what does Izzy have left at this point? Well, he has his 2 units of Jaegers left, whom I have been targeting a bit with the cannons. He has his 3 units of Royal Guard left, this contingency of infantry, And that's about it. This gun engagement is something he is going to eventually lose. He has lost the engagement on the hill over here. He has lost 3 entire units and 2 of infantry and 2 units of cavalry trying to break through this flank. Again, just showing how powerful elite infantry is. And now I am going to push up with 4 units of my own infantry in the center, trying to threaten his artillery. In response, he is going to be moving his Jaegers forward to try and stop me while he moves in his Royal Guard. He is trying to stop me by firing shrapnel shots into my units, but it's not really seeming to be that effective, and now I'm going to start pushing in from the left flank with my grenadiers. And here we see that he does still have a unit of lancers and a unit of hussars left, who are going to be facing against my cuirassiers. We're now going after his depleted unit of lancers that he pulled out of that engagement with my infantry. So he didn't in fact lose them over here, that was my mistake. So him moving this cavalry and actually forces me to form in square, and that allows his artillery to actually fire a pretty good shrapnel shot onto me. And now we see here the cavalry engagement starting to begin, him moving in his hussars while I'm getting my grenadiers ready to shoot into this. Currently they are firing over here at this unit of Jaegers. Meanwhile, I should have moved these guys back into line infantry, as canister really is doing a number on these foot infantry. As their square formation proves to be an ideal target. Now I did this situation over here with 3 units of his cavalry fighting against my unit of cuirassiers. With me just trying to get my units a line of sight on this, narrowly avoiding that canister shot that, if I stayed there, would have hit me, and that one did hit me. So, seeing that I'm going to no longer be able to pin these units in place, I move my other unit of cuirassiers to here to try and get them into, to try and keep these 3 units of cavalry pinned down. Meanwhile, I have won the line battle against the Jaegers, which allows me to start pushing up these infantry even more and take out this last unit of Jaegers. But he is moving in his general staff and his last 3 full strength units of Royal Guard. Over here I have managed in pinning down his 3 units of cavalry with my cuirassiers. And now I am going to be moving in my grenadiers to practically point blank to unload into his cavalry. Over here the line battle has been won, and I am now going to start turning to meet the threat of these Royal Guards. All the while this engagement is still going on. As you can see here, he has already lost 1 of his cavalry units, and now I thought he was going to charge me, so that's why I'm forming up into square, but he didn't. He was more than happy to keep fighting my cuirassiers instead of going after my elite infantry. So, while being in square formation is going to make it take a bit longer over here, these units now can also fire at the cannons over here. And this is where his elite infantry moves in. He knows that in a straight up line battle I am probably going to win. So he's going to get these units to just charge. Going to give me a couple of volleys and then he is just going to charge them in. All the while his cannons still firing just canister at me, trying to get my units to leave. Meanwhile, I have won the cavalry engagement over here, even if I lost both units of my cavalry, just by the sheer force of my light infantry being here. And here we see his elite infantry really doing a number on my foot infantry, whom I'm going to have to reinforce with the 2 units I had battling the troops on the hill. Whom I was now able to outflank with my cavalry because of how depleted they are. I am, however, not going to charge them over here because they have a square setup. I am going to move all the way around and wait for the full engagement to start. And here it is. In charging in these 2 units of grenadiers. No, of Royal Guard, not grenadiers. And this is going to hurt. They have way better melee stats on those elite infantry than I have on my foot infantry. But I have these 2 units able to fire into that melee. As well as over here my elite infantry moving up while my 3 cuirassiers were going after his cannon crew. So I pop suppressive fire on these 2 units just to get the morale debuffs going, but then he does charge in with this unit of Royal Guard against my lightly depleted unit of foot. But over here he is taking casualties on these elite infantry, casualties he currently cannot afford to take. The same thing is happening over here where he is just charging in his infantry in a last bit effort of breaking through this flank. And at this point the main battle has just been a friendly fire, sir. The battle has mainly just devolved into this blob of infantry that are now going to start really getting shot up by both my cannons. 2 units of elite infantry, regular infantry, on both its flanks. But as you can just see here, he only lost 10 of his Royal Guards, taking out more than 100 of my regular foot. Just showing you the amount of strength one of these units had. This is, yes, this is going to prompt me to charge into this unit with my cavalry, while this unit wheels around and shoots into them from the flank. And the cavalry charge does actually do quite a bit of damage. And this is now just turning into a complete bloodbath with his unit being shot at from 3 sides. These Royal Guard are not going to make it out of here, and these ones are pinned down beyond saving while being fired at from these infantry. Meanwhile, his charge over here has been defeated just by the sheer force of having more units available to flank and shoot into the rear of his melee, shooting into the rear of the troops going in melee. And this then eventually chain routes his army due to army losses. I did forget to save the post-battle results screen, so that is going to be it for this video, other than one more announcement. I am now going to move back to a regular upload schedule with at least one video every Friday. And that video is going to be a replay from one of the mods he has made. We have recently had a multiplayer event around the release of Beta 6, which has somewhat reinvigorated the community and has already provided me with ample replays to cover on the channel. Again, if you have any replays of the Beta 6 version of this mod, which again I'll also have linked down below, then just send them in on the Total Fall of the Samurai Discord in the replays channel. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Bye for now.